That's right.
All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Stand and pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call shows we are all here. Number 2, approval of agenda. Entertain a motion.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Support. Okay, motion by Josh, support by Sue that these are just school choices, that the October 20th, 2025 regular Board of Education meeting agenda be approved as printed. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Number 3, communications. We do not have any written correspondence. Ovid-Elsie personnel. And no public participation that is related to the agenda. Number 4, consent agenda. Most it has all the typical things and the compensation adjustment on letter F as well. Entertain a motion.
I move the board to move that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion by Mary, support by Kevin. Any discussion? Okay. Roll call, I guess. Josh?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, motion passes. Number 5, Board of Education reports, superintendent.
Thank you. Got 3 things to talk about briefly tonight. I have been updating you as best I can on student count. Our official count day total is 1,256.4. And no, we don't have 4/10 of a student. There's, specific way we count those. We had 1,275 last year and had budgeted for 1,262. So that it is following the birth rate trends that we've seen. And that's obviously something we're going to have to continue to monitor and plan for accordingly. The district website transparency page, if you haven't looked at that recently, please click on it. It's very colorful with graphs, and if you want information, there's a lot of information there. And we're doing that as part of our push for being more transparent, and we're really happy with what they've been able to provide us. I think people will be happy when they see that. And I also want to mention too that we did form a health insurance committee. Katie helped put that together. We've been meeting just to talk about different possible providers and different costs. Obviously insurance premiums are a concern for everybody, and so we put that committee together as a way of getting input from different groups, not just large groups, but everybody in the district. So I wanted you to be aware that we've been working together on that. And that concludes my report.
All right, number 6, new business. We have Allie here from, say it, Yow and Yow or
Yo.
Yo and Yo?
I should have brought you yo-yos. All right, so you're a clicker up there and
Yep.
okay. All right, so I'm Allie Barnes. I'm from Yo and Yo. I'm the audit principal that's been on your audit the last couple of years. So I'm here to go through this year's audit results. Kind of before I get into that, I want to give you a little bit of the lay of the land in the audit world for this particular school season. So the Office of Management and Budget at the federal level has not yet even issued the federal compliance supplement, which is the document that we have to rely on to actually do your federal audit. So we're going to issue your audit in stages. Mark just signed off on the rep letter for what I'm gonna call stage 1 this year. So you will have, either during this meeting or after this meeting, you can get your bound reports now from Caitlin of the audited financial statements. What we cannot issue is our governance letter that includes things like management comments and the single audit, which includes things like any of the federal award findings or if we had internal control findings. I'm still going to tell you what is in those reports as of right now. I just can't give you the final. We don't think that there will be significant changes when they do actually issue the federal compliance supplement. They did put a draft out there, but we just don't know. And we have no idea when it's coming, especially with the government shutdown. It's probably way on the back burner. So we decided 10/20 was the cutoff for our firm, that we would still issue your financial statements and get them to MDE so that you don't miss any of your state aid payments. And the budget that was passed by the state of Michigan included wording that it's okay that your federal audit can come at a later date. They have said within 30 days of when the feds issue that compliance supplement, that's when your federal audit has to be to MDE. So a little bit different than any other year I think I've ever audited. So I wanted to explain that to you in case you're like, oh, it seems like we're not actually getting all of the audit. You kind of aren't, but I don't anticipate changes. If for some reason we have to audit something else when the supplement comes out and there's a major change in findings, I would like to come back or provide some type of letter to you to explain how we got to that, but I don't anticipate that actually happening. Okay, so we'll get into what I do know and what I can tell you today. So you are receiving an unmodified or clean audit opinion on your actual financial statements. So that's the one you want, it's the one that you've been receiving, so no difference from prior years. What is in there this year is a paragraph related to ASB 101 and compensated absences. This was a new audit standard, well, a new accounting standard that had to be implemented for this fiscal year. Probably a little more work than anyone actually anticipated. When it first came out, it seemed kind of like, oh yeah, that'll be easy. And then you start digging into different contracts and it looks like, okay, well, that's not as easy as the profession thought. So quite a bit of time went into implementing this across schools and for your district also. So it caused a restatement of the compensated absence liability. So that would be like if you got sick, vacation, personal time that accumulates and then can be paid out in future years. That's the compensated absence liability. It increased the 6/30/2024 liability by about $500,000. And so that means at the end of this particular fiscal year that we're auditing, the current liability was just shy of $900,000. So I like to say there was an awful lot of work that went into this for a number that you probably don't rely on at all. And there's probably not many users of your financial statements that do rely on it, but you are required to calculate it correctly and report it correctly to MDE. All right, we'll talk a little bit about general fund since it's your most significant fund. So here you can see revenue for the past 5 fiscal years, including the one that we just audited. So in total, revenue for this fiscal year came in at about $19.5 million. You can see the categories of revenue have remained relatively consistent. This year, your state revenue did go down some. There's been some decreases within the MIPSERS allocations that you receive, especially now that the health care portion is a net OPEB asset at the state level. The funding for that won't have to be as significant, so they don't provide you funding to pay for that at as quite a high of a level as they did before. And then you'll see that your federal revenue has tapered off now for 2 years. We've kind of made it through all that extra funding from the pandemic, and you're probably back to more normal levels now. Here we can see the expenditure side. So total expenditures were about $19.3 million for the fiscal year. Within these categories compared to the previous year, still relatively consistent in instruction and supporting services. You will note kind of the really expensive year for instruction there in 2023, and even it was higher back in 2022. That's going to directly correlate to that additional federal funding and where those expenditures pull through. So I don't want you to think, oh, we really just had to cut a bunch. It was just because we weren't spending those federal dollars. The transfers out this year were down some also. You had transferred about $850,000 to your capital projects fund in the previous year, and only about $200,000 this year. When it comes to fund balance, it actually increased this year about $220,000. So that was positive to see. Total fund balance at the end of the year was about $4.7 million. Within the chart here, the dark blue is going to be your unassigned, which was about $3.4 million. So that's the funds that, are there. You are free to spend as you see fit in accordance with the regulations you have to follow. The light blue is your assigned fund balance. That was roughly $280,000. That represents the amount in the budget, the original budget you passed for the fiscal year you're now operating in. The difference between the revenue you expect to collect and the expenditures. So you're anticipating to use about that much fund balance in your current fiscal year, just based on that budget. Obviously that could change here as the year goes. And then the light peach amount there is your committed fund balance, and you've set money aside for debt repayment and some succession costs. So all the things there. Here we can see kind of how you compare to MDE's recommendation and to your peers. So MDE still recommends 15% as the fund balance level when you compare it to your expenditures. Your district for this fiscal year ended with about 24.41%, so above the recommendation. Always happy to see that. And within your peer group, we have the data from the previous fiscal year available. So your peer group was at about 26.7, and you were slightly under that at about 22.62%. So I'm guessing this year you're going to fall more in line with your peer group. I don't think that's that your peer group is going to increase very much. If anything, it might decrease some. So I think you're at a good spot when it comes to fund balance. Something I've been reminding all of kind of my smaller districts of is we have had so much extra funding coming through to schools the last few years. And for anyone that's been in the school finance world, that's very cyclical. So we have really, really big highs, and then sometimes we can have some really big lows when funding gets cut. So I think it's important when you are a smaller district that you do carry a little bit bigger fund balance than MDE's recommendation, so that it can help you through some of those rougher patches. So just want to throw that commentary out there, because sometimes I get the question, well, should we be spending more of this because we are above the recommendation? You just have to be responsible and do what's right for your district, but just keep that in the back of your mind that while it's been, sunshine and rainbows here for several years, we don't know, what the future holds. All right, this is kind of relevant since you were just talking about your latest pupil count numbers. So we look at information on a per pupil basis. So this graph shows you the darkest line there that's trending downwards is your state aid membership for the fiscal year that we took a look at. So that has been decreasing. It sounds like maybe it's gonna decrease again here. And then we take a look at your total revenues and your total expenditures on that per pupil basis, just to see, are they staying in line or are there large gaps? So When the orange line is above that lighter blue line, those are years where you're adding back to your fund balance. And then when the expenditure per pupil is exceeding the orange, that those are years where you use up some fund balance. So. All right, switching gears to talk about the federal piece, even though this piece is not official, your total federal expenditures came in just shy of $1 million. So if you remain at this level, then for next fiscal year, if you do not exceed $1 million in expenditures, you will not need a single audit. So that requirement will fall off because the last regulation that was passed increased the threshold. So some people think that's good. The finance people are usually like, yes, because it's a lot less work for them, but you wouldn't be required to have that done. So this year we took a look at the child nutrition cluster as a part of the single audit. That cluster had about $700,000 in expenses, so we covered roughly 70% of your total federal awards. Within that, we will be issuing likely an unmodified or clean opinion, and we did not have any material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, or material noncompliance when it comes to that program. So an excellent job by your staff here, making sure that they're following all the requirements, dotting all the i's, crossing all the t's. It looked really good. When it comes to overall internal controls and compliance, we also did not have any significant issues, so no material weakness, significant deficiency, or material noncompliance. Again, an excellent job by your team, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We did have a couple of items that we're going to include as written management comments. The first relates to having written procedures over your federal dollars. This is something that I believe is in draft form. I'm not sure when it's coming to you guys to review and approve, but there's several areas that the federal government says, we really want you to have things in writing. So while there are procedures that they're doing here, they're just not in writing. So our recommendation is to make sure that gets done. And then the second item relates to the food service program, the problem that everybody's had for several years, you have too much money. So again, that threshold, there's too much fund balance based on the calculation that has to be performed. So you'll have to provide MDE with a corrective action plan and just work with them on how those dollars will get spent. I'm guessing it's going to continue to be a challenge since our state government is still going to keep feeding our kids, which is a huge win. But that makes getting this fund balance down a little more of a challenge because that revenue is coming in. So just something to watch and make sure you're aware of. And with that, if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and you win the award for the most hospitable welcome. That's really nice.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. No, just kidding.
Gold star.
All right, so I would entertain a motion.
I move the Board of Education approves the Ovid-Elsie Area Schools 2024-2025 financial audit as presented by Yo-Yo.
Support.
All right, motion by Becky, support by Kevin. Any discussion? Roll call?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes, and good job, you guys, for getting that together and doing such a fantastic job. Letter B, used bus bids. Do you want to speak to that? Do you want me to?
I can talk over it. We had two buses that are basically being scrapped out. We've been able to pull off the valuable parts to them that we'll be able to use in the future. And so we put out for bid and making this recommendation for Ovid-Elsie Metal.
I move the Board of Education accept the bid from Ovid Iron and Metal for the purchase of bus 065 in the amount of $1,500.
Support.
Okay, motion by Becky, support by Kevin. Any discussion? Okay, roll call. Josh?
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion passes.
I move the Board of Education accept the bid from Ovid-Elsie Metal for the purchase of bus 066 in the amount of $1,500.
Support.
Okay, motion by Becky, support by Kevin. Discussion? Roll call vote. Doc?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Abstain.
Sorry, yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes. Letter C, bond resolution, and I believe the finance committee?
Yep, actually, Larry, did you wanna talk about that?
Yeah, I think it was very informative. I was lucky enough, I was able to make it for October 6th committee meeting. We currently have two bonds up for refinancing, a 2024 and a 2026. The remaining balance on the 2024 bond is just shy of 1.6 million. The maturity date is May 1st of 2029, and the current net interest cost is 4.46%. If we refinance this bond, it would go to 2.6%. Our savings would be around $48,000 on that bond. Our second is from 2016, and we could see tremendous savings on this refinance. Our current bond principal is $6,045,000, and it is set to mature in May of 2032. The net interest cost on this one is a 4.28%. If we refinance this bond, it would be a 2.77%. So it would be roughly a savings just under $200,000. Our total savings on both of those bonds would just be shy of $250,000. The savings is excellent news, but it could change if the federal government lowers the interest rate again before we finalize it. And that would be a bigger savings, and I'm hoping the feds lower that for us.
And just for clarity, in case Dawn, you're reporting, she was referencing two bonds for refinancing in 2014 and 2016.
Oh, did I say it wrong?
See, 2024 and 2026. They can correct it later, but just so we were all like, they can't see what we can see.
And information on this, it has been coming out to the board. I will say, just to be clear, this savings does not come back to the district in terms of operating. This savings is all to the taxpayers of our district. And that's why it's good for us to look at saving money for our taxpayers when we can. That way, the next time we do look for to pass a bond, we can tell them and show them how we help save money whenever we could.
And it does not change the maturity date of these bonds too. I think they get done a little bit quicker.
The last year will have a cheaper millage rate on it.
Thank you for typing this out.
Yeah.
This makes sense when you see it, not just like hear it all. I entertain a motion.
I move the Board of Education approve the resolution authorizing the issuance and delegating the sale of the Ovid-Elsie Area Schools 2026 refunding bonds as presented.
Support.
Motion by Sue, support by Kevin. Any further discussion? Okay,
Yes.
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 yes, motion passes. Letter D, MASB contract for strategic planning process.
Okay, this, we had heard a little bit from Mark Palmer about this process, and we've been talking about doing the strategic plan, which we're planning on starting in January. We did get good news that MASB approved our request for the membership assistant fund, so that we will receive a $1,500 discount, which is reflected here in the motion that I recommend.
All right, the Board of Education, I move the Board of Education approve a contract with Michigan Association of School Boards in the amount of $8,766.60 minus the approved $1,500 MASB membership assistance fund to facilitate the strategic plan process as presented at the September 22nd, 2025 regular board meeting.
Support.
Motion by Sue, support by Kevin. Any discussion?
I don't disagree that we need a strategic plan. I have a hard time spending money when we have other things on our budgets that we can spend money.
I think we went without a strategic plan for so long. I think it's really would help our school district get back on track having it. I agree, I don't like to spend money when there's other things, but I think this, if we follow it and move it forward, it would be great for our district and our kids and staff.
We did say last month, like, it was hard to, without a budget, just say like, sure, we can just spend this money. But I agree, like, I've been on the board for quite some time and never got to be part of an actual strategic planning process. And the fact that it's like a 5-year cycle, yes, we put the money into it now, but then we can work on it ourselves throughout the next 5 years.
And I think we've been without one for
Since
roughly 5 years.
2016.
Oh,
Yeah.
9.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Motion passes 6-1. Letter E, employee contracts.
The first contract is for Rebecca Powell. She has started actually a little bit ago as the business office specialist and is doing an outstanding job. And so I would recommend the board approve her contract.
Entertain a motion?
I move the Board of Education to extend a contract to Rebecca Powell as a business office specialist in the administration office effective September 15th, 2025.
Support.
Okay, motion by Mary, support by Becky. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, Josh?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes, motion passes.
Okay, the next contract is for Rebecca Keisch. You might remember Rebecca actually resigned recently because she took a full-time job, but her job allows her time in the morning, which is when we have a need for some student support. So we're hoping that they approve the contract for allowing her to work 3 hours a day in the morning at the high school in this part-time contract.
I move the Board of Education extend a contract to Rebecca Keisch as a part-time, 3 hours per day paraprofessional at the high school at step 4, effective October 13th, 2025.
Support.
Okay, motion by Becky, support by Kevin. Any other discussion? Roll call, Deb?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes. Letter F, can we start with this?
Go ahead.
Okay, so, will you pass those out? Thank you. Okay, so what I did is, Sue was required, and Sue was the only one that we hadn't taken her eval training yet. But I took it again because I've never helped like lead us through it, and I wanted to make sure that I know these things. One of the things, yes, there's one for you and from her, and I think an extra. One of the things that they shared, and they actually shared it when we all did it those of us that did last year, but I just never picked up on it, was having this binder so that every tool we need throughout this process is here. And so, me and my color coordinating, if you open it up, and this is for you to take, and then if you want to keep it the next 2 months, then I collect them until we do this again next year, that's fine. So the color of your letters on the first plate is what matches. So they encouraged us to have the timelines. You'll know after the blue one, January is when we take what came from his evaluation and we set goals with him. We look at what indicators, what documents we're gonna wanna see and what our expectations are. We've all been asking for this, so I just worked through it in this class. Sue and I were taking it together. So we would do that in January. And then in April, we do an informal update. And really, when I talked to Mark about this, he already does this for us, all the things that he's doing. But this is purposely in our agenda. In April, we will talk about this so that we are being more specific and direct on our responsibilities. And so that'll be checking on for his goals. In June, we're required to submit a mid-year progress report, and that's in here, I'll show you in a minute, but that's something that we need to make sure we do. And if there's anything we want to tweak or change goals, we share what we would need to do to help support Mark to be able to do that. Then we do an informal check-in again in August, but this one's more focused on the district goals and enrollment. Yes, it's focused on him, but we focus more on that, so I added those. And then in October, like we're doing right now, he will share his self-evaluation with us, and we can ask him questions, and then we will leave here with the tool, and you should write out your evaluation like on your notes. Whatever you bring from home is not FOIAble, so it's just your notes for us to participate in the process. And then that way we can have a better discussion about what we think he's doing amazing at and things that we can help support him to do better. And so I put some things that they shared in the training that I thought were really helpful just thinking about it. Because I feel like in my time here, I do feel like the evaluation has just been an event. Like, we need to do it in November, and it's like, that's it. And so this is really a process, it's not an event. The mid-year one is required, so I had already shared some of that. I guess all the rest of that I shared. So if you keep moving, and then we're in the blue one, this is the part of the tool that we use. It's like obviously 50-some pages, but this is the part that if you don't want to take this whole binder with you today, you don't have to, but please take this part out, make notes on it, and bring it back, because this is what we'll use next month to do it. And then if you turn past purple, that's the mid-year, so it's very simple. All we need to do is write out what the goals are that we set for him, what progress he's making. If we decide to make any change, that is completely a discussion with him, not for him. These can be, and I did put them in there, these can be closed session, but when Mark and I spoke at this point, we like having everything open and transparent. Then you see that's our mid-year tool. After orange is where we put the goals that he set when he started. It doesn't necessarily have to look like this next year, but this is what he did for us to get started mid-year. So those are there for you to be able to compare. After the green, you'll notice there's nothing there. We haven't had him a full year, and even looking back at our last couple of years, we're always confused on what the best superintendent measurable tool is for growth. And so Mark has a meeting this week with other superintendents, and he's going to talk with them and see what they used. This year, we can't really give him an accurate score for 6 months of what he's been doing. So we can kind of work through that next month, but then we'll have like, this is the tool we use, this is why, and then we have it set so that we're being consistent year to year. After the yellow is his current superintendent contract. Just so you have that. After the silver is our policy related to our evaluation of the superintendent, so we understand what our role is and what our role is not. And after the pink is the job description that was created for our superintendent. So as we change these, like I'm more than happy, whether I'm in this role or not, I'm more than happy to keep updating these just so we have them all in one place instead of looking for tools. But that was one of the best things that came out of that training. It's like, wow, common sense, we should have already had all this in one space to look at it. So there's also a calendar that I asked her to copy. It's not in here for you. This is totally up for discussion and not a discussion today. But we've been talking about wanting to use that tool that we saw on the MASB, and it's from MASA, that has everything that a superintendent in the central office does every month, and then all of our responsibilities. So I just went through and looked at ours, and wrote them down, and Sue went back through our last year of things and added other things that we do so that we didn't forget that, hey, this month, this is something. It's not adding to it, it's just making sure we're being consistent and following up on these. So we can edit this at any point. It was just a starting goal, or a starting point, and then Sue and I are having that discussion after. And then I laid that all out, but it was basically so that you knew the process, and then Mark's gonna go over his self-eval for us. And during this time, if we have any questions, we can ask them, but that way we take this and we take the tool, and then when you come back next month, we'll fill out the tool together and actually complete the evaluation. Does that make sense to everyone? I mean, I know you guys have all taken it too, but like, that was my 3rd time. This is the best one I've ever taken. Like, our presenter was so good at being clear on everything, so.
Thank you for doing all this work, and a lot of the classes at MASB, these things are very helpful, especially for new people to kind of
Yes.
know, when things are talked about, and very, very helpful. Thank you.
Well, I said, after being here and doing this many years too, I wish like I would have had this all
Yes,
this time.
because
Just-
okay, if I have a question about this, I can wait till that month to,
Yes.
that's, you just know ahead of time when things are discussed.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that I took away from the training was that, the term strategic plan came up repetitively, and because Mark is the, for lack of a better term, CEO of the school, his ratings and a lot of his work are tied to those higher level strategic plan goals. So that was reiterated a number of times, just, a good plan gives clarity for everyone to keep the district moving forward.
I think one of the things, as you say that sticks out, and I know every year we kind of we've done it a little bit differently, so I did ask during it, but the whole point of the evaluation is to help provide support, not just get a number and a score. And even when talking to Mark, he said it's not about the score, it's about what we can do better, or how we can improve. So one thing too that I made sure, because we've done it differently in the past, when we go through this next month and you have your numbers circled and your reasons, if we can't come up with a consensus, we are going to skip it, go all the way through and come back, because the whole point is to have that language discussion rather than just giving him a number. So that was a big part, this is not about a number, it's about the dialogue we have to make it better for him.
Right. To ultimately reach consensus on a number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
All right.
Yours?
First of all, again, thank you for putting all this information together. I've never seen it organized so well, so I really appreciate that. And that'll be used for many years to come. In terms of self-evaluation, I will tell you this is something I am a little bit uncomfortable doing. I don't like grading myself, and I don't like giving myself, even like an effective grade, because I can always improve on things. And I realized that. So I kind of went into this with, okay, where I'm at 4 months into the job, and going through each thing in the rubric, kind of seeing where I've accomplished some things. There's areas where we still need to work on doing some accomplishments. In terms of key evidence and artifacts, I've listed at the bottom of each of the domains different things that I feel are relevant. Most of those were in weekly board updates. In the future, for next year, we may put things in Live Binder and have documents that can just be uploaded that way. I didn't reprint out things that I sent you in the board updates. I didn't feel that was necessary for this one, especially being kind of a shortened evaluation cycle. And the different areas, and I'm not going to go through and read all these to you because we're going to be going through every single thing next month and discussing them. But I wanted to just kind of give you some ideas on what some key events and artifacts are for each section. What I view is like the impact from the section, and then I also wanted to include some of the growth areas or next steps for each of the sections as well. So the first one, the governance board relations, and then we go to community relations. You'll see at the bottom there some of the things I've done with community relations. Again, there's more work to do. Staff relations, each of the individual indicators, and they match up with this blue document that Brooke has in the binder. And where I rated myself on each of those individual ones. Business and finance, just a short summary of each one, along with evidence and artifacts there. And if you have any questions in the sections, again, like I said, we're going to be going through these one by one next time we do the actual evaluation. And then with domain E, the instructional leadership, that's one of the longer ones. I just wanted to make sure I listed everything that I've worked on in each of those areas and where I see myself as still developing. terms of the other, on the last page here, other required components, as Brooke mentioned, the student growth and assessment data, that's still being developed, what that formula is gonna be. I see it, after talking with some superintendents already, I see it as kind of a combination of the different administrators at different levels, all the different levels combined. So I'm basically growth data from all the different levels in the district. And then we'll be working on a formula that'll be really easy to follow, really easy to tabulate, based on student data. So that one is gonna be developed. The other ones, the district-wide goals, and normally that's just completely tied to a strategic plan. But for this evaluation cycle, I'd recommend using the approved goals that you approved for me back my first meeting, which were these three here: the public connection goal with community engagement and visibility, communication goal, being transparent with consistent outreach, and then academic growth goal with the MyKIP aligned district planning. And I gave a short little summary of different things I've been working on in each of those areas.
Does anybody have any questions?
And again, as Brooke mentioned before, I don't, really like evaluating myself, and it does recommend having parts of this process done in closed session. I don't request that, just I like everything out in the open and transparent. If for some reason though, board members don't feel they could be open and honest about everything in closed session, please talk to me about that privately, and we can, look at doing that, but I just wanted to mention that as well.
And then hopefully, looking at that, and then the tool that's behind the red one, please try to make your notes and bring your stuff down next month. You can keep this if you want, or you can just pull that one out if that's all you want.
Well, that's our homework, right?
Yeah, so that when we come in, we're not doing this for 3 hours, we can actually have a good discussion and be ready. Number 7, additional public participation at board meetings. I do have one comment to read. This was emailed to me on October 17th by Eric Jones, asking to read this because he could not be present. With new information coming to light on almost a weekly basis, I think it is important to reiterate the following board policy in order to keep it top of mind to the entire board. Board Policy 0144.2 regarding board member ethics states, as members of the Board of Education, board members will strive to improve public education, and to that end, they will take no private action that will compromise the board or administration and respect the confidentiality of information that is privileged under applicable law. Thank you, Eric Jones. I don't think we have another public comment. Number 8, any other matters which may properly come before the board. Number 9. Do you want me to go first? Okay, so I had a couple things I want to share. You nominated, or I guess voted, allowed me to be our delegate for the MASB annual conference. No one else wanted to, so it's not really a thing, but in talking with, even though it's not a conflict of interest, I actually am a very integral part of it, so I don't get to sit with other delegates, so it would be hard for me to actually vote. So I will be there, but I can't actually vote on behalf of OE, and I just wanted to let you know that. Not that anyone else is going, but you can view it on the app and watch if you want to. I also wanted to apologize for something that was put in the paper this week. I attended a board meeting last week, and I spoke as a public member. I went as a Fairfield Township resident, but the reporter who was there knew me and recognized me as the Ovid-Elsie School Board President. So I spoke as me, did not reference my role here or the board or that I was speaking on behalf. But then when it was published with my name as School Board President. So I did reach out to that reporter and said, I attend those meetings as the Dairy Festival President. I attend them as a Fairfield Township, so please don't do that again, because I didn't write anything, I didn't speak as Ovid-Elsie School Board President. So I couldn't control it, but I did try to at least make sure it doesn't happen again, and I wasn't speaking on behalf of anyone else, just in case any of you saw that. Did you wanna speak, or anyone else have anything? Okay.
Yeah, I do, sorry. I just want to address, again, some of the recent comments that have made both during this public meeting and on social media. I feel they've gone far beyond what's appropriate and respectful. Some of the comments are not about accountability. I feel they're bullying. It's an effort to publicly humiliate, intimidate, and cause harm. My daughter was brought up, and she's a private citizen. She's been subjected to unnecessary and cruel remarks that have nothing to do with this board, and it's all simply because I'm her mom and in this position. When individuals use their comment time to attack, spread falsehoods, and demean others, that conduct is no longer public comment, it's personal harassment. It undermines the purpose of this forum and violates standards of decorum established by our board policy. Most importantly, it sends the worst possible message to our students about what leadership and respect looks like. It teaches them that public humiliation and personal attacks are acceptable when we disagree with or don't like someone. We owe them a better example. Disagreement and debate are healthy in public service. Bullying and intimidation are not. Therefore, I respectfully request that in the future, our board chair enforce Board Bylaw 167.3 by ruling out of order any personal or defamatory remarks directed at board members, school administrators, teachers, support staff, or their families. The board has an obligation to uphold professionalism, fairness, and respect, not only for one another, but for the students and community we serve. That bylaw I referenced, Brooke read parts of it at the last meeting, or a couple meetings ago. I asked for clarification from MASB. That bylaw has been in place for nearly 25 years and was updated 4 years ago. I'm not sure of the updates. And although it may have not been previously explained clearly or applied consistently, I think it's time that we just turn down the temperature and set a good example for our students.
What number was that?
167.3, public participation.
Thank you.
And so Sue did bring this to my attention today, and we did talk about this ahead of time. And I spoke with our superintendent as well, so Mark and I will talk about this and look at, because before we had gotten some guidance that Sue had gotten from MASB on how to handle this bylaw. So we will reach out and do that again and possibly trim so that we can find a way.
Yeah, and I'd encourage the board to look at maybe some other school districts and how they manage their public participation. We agreed to add the second public participation to the agenda, and I'm a firm believer in free speech, but I think it has generated some unintended consequences that other districts manage through some code of conduct rules that are published on their website for the community to see and follow. And they're pretty strict about keeping that public portion comment focused on district business. And I just encourage us to consider that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have anything to add or say?
I just want to generally say that when we talk about policy, I think it's extremely important for everybody to understand policy, how it is meant to be interpreted, and not interpret it whatever might benefit me or benefit you. So just being clear as a whole board, if there's questions about policy, it doesn't do any harm at all to discuss, talk, ask for advice from, MASB. That is a free service, and they will interpret a policy so that we're all on the same page of what the intentions of the policies are. Just I thought of that while she was referencing policy.
policies.
Anyone else have anything?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, motion by Kevin. Support. All in favor?
Aye.
I have lots of signatures.
I mean, you didn't have to move very hard for this evaluation.
The recording was not being